Hello everybody. The Warriors had a stirring comeback against the Timberwolves, and down the stretch they turned to some good old-fashioned plays for Klay, elevator doors, and Floppy. Elevator doors is from before Coach Steve Kerr joined the Warriors. Here, from the Mark Jackson days, is good old Jarrett Jack. The play always looks the same. You have the shooter in the corner, ball handler goes over to set a pin down screen, and Klay will curl off of the screen, and the screener will pop out, and the ball will swing to the popper outer. So now a lot of this hinges on how good an actor the shooter is. So you have to look really bored, like you're not in the play anymore and you're just dealing with existentialism and the meaningless of life. And then suddenly you take a quick turn. These two bigs set these screens, and then they lean in towards each other like they are the doors of an elevator, and the shooter scoots through just in time, and his defender in theory is just going to get nailed by these closing elevator doors. Open three-point attempt. So the Warriors run elevator doors every now and then, because if you catch the other team by surprise, it works, and it's a real crowd pleaser. So Donte DiVincenzo gives up the ball, runs over, sets a pin down for Klay, who's going to curl off of it. So that's going to put Klay in this paint area, and then Donte's going to pop out to be ready to receive the ball in passing position over here. Now these two bigs come over to set the elevator doors. Here comes Klay shooting the gap. You might say, this play is so cool, why don't they run it every game? I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of this play, even though it looks cool. First of all, it takes forever to set up. So here, there's only 9 on the shot clock, and we haven't even made the first pass to Klay. Second of all, if the other team is alert, there are a lot of ways to guard this. The first thing that can happen is that the defender can just follow through. The second thing that can happen, more typically, the defender will come close to the elevator and say, whoa, this isn't a real elevator, man, you can go around the door. And so he'll ask one of his teammates to just switch around, and then that immediately diffuses the play. So this play only works if it's not scouted and they have no idea what's coming. And also, I've never seen it called, but I'm pretty sure there's moving screens every single time people run elevator doors. So for all these reasons, you can't run this play all the time. Having said that, this play works like gangbusters. Klay slips through, Anthony Edwards gets completely hung up on the screen, and Klay pops the 3. Here's the next chance for a called play. If you look carefully, you can see Jordan Poole signaling the play with his hand, and then Donte DiVincenzo. They're both going to twirl their index fingers around. There's one twirl over here, and then Donte's going to twirl here in response. And it's Floppy, 2 shooters going towards each other under the basket. It ends with one shooter having a choice of having a pin down on this side or a pin down on this side, and then they will come up and take either option. Poole is setting this cross screen. Klay rejects the cross screen and takes this pin down. The defender gets around the screen pretty easily, so Klay dumps it to Anthony Lamb, trying to fake either going back door or coming to pick up the dribble handoff, and finally he decides, all right, I'm just going to cut. I think Klay might have been hoping for Jonathan Kuminga to set a pin-in screen so that Klay could flare out or go to the corner and be open. DiVincenzo drives under the basket, sees neither of these options developing, and he says, everyone on the defense is expecting me to pass this thing out, so if I go really fast, I might be able to do a quick reverse, and he hits the beautiful twisting layup. The next play, there's some confusion about what the play is. Klay is hanging out in the corner here, and Donte is going to signal to Klay and Lamb and everybody else the same twirling finger signal for Floppy that he used a couple plays ago. There's the twirling. So Klay's going to set this cross screen for Lamb to pop out, and then he himself is going to want to come the other way and get a pin down from Kuminga. Donte, in the meantime, is looking at Kuminga, trying to communicate that it's Floppy time and that Kuminga should be doing the screen for Klay, and he's still twirling around. As Klay comes around looking for this pin down from Kuminga, Kuminga's just standing here. I don't want to pick on Kuminga. He had a really strong defensive game. Donte looks at Kuminga again and says, I thought you were supposed to be screening for Klay over here. What's going on? In the meantime, Jordan saw that nothing was going on this side of the Floppy, so he passed it over to Anthony Lamb, who is sitting here waiting for something to develop. This happens to very close to being another elevator screen formation with the ball on the side here for Klay to pop out. So Donte decides to do basically a one-door version of the elevator door play, and he's going to set this pin down for Klay. They wait for Poole to evacuate and take his defender with him. So there's a single heroic elevator door setting the pin down. As I mentioned before, if you get hung up on one of the doors, you can just tell your friend, hey, can you switch please? So he just goes around the elevator door, and that's the end of the advantage. Klay doesn't panic. He just says, I'll do a wing pick and roll instead. Kuminga is trying to be helpful in this play, and he runs over to make it a two-sided screen. Klay takes the screen, and helpfully, Detroit sends 2 players to follow Klay, and so Klay is going to dump it out to Anthony Lamb. Jaden McDaniels here is clearly covering Anthony Lamb. But because of this double team, he also has to cover Jonathan Kuminga. And so if Kuminga just stands here, McDaniels is going to be able to cover both of the players. And so Kuminga cuts straight down the middle. And that makes the whole play work. Because now if McDaniels just stays here, then the ball is going to swing to Anthony Lamb, and then he'll just throw the ball right over the top, maybe even a spectacular alley-oop lob to Kuminga. So McDaniels goes with Kuminga. And as he goes, Reid is trying to rotate back to cover Anthony Lamb, but he has a long way to go, and Anthony Lamb can shoot this. Let's end with a quick celebration audit. One of the grand traditions of Warriors bench celebrations is if it does a really cool move, you have to mime it. You have to imitate the move to show that you appreciated all of the subtle nuance. So if Donte is going to do a jump off one foot into a one-handed spinning reverse layup, then you've got to imitate as many aspects of that as possible in your celebration. So let's see how everyone did. All right, you've got a coach in the background holding up the hand, showing that he had good use of his right hand. Very nice. We also have Steph here putting up his hands in a very dainty way, showing how delicate DiVincenzo's layup was. Good job. Patrick Baldwin Jr. upping the ante here. He's not only got one-handed layup, but he's also got the scooping action. Very nice. And he's standing on one leg. So PBJ scoring 3 out of the 4 crucial aspects. Very high technical merit scores here. But Draymond showing why he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to come through with one hand, 1 foot, scoop layup, and he's going to spin in 3 dimensions, scoring a perfect 4 out of 4 on this mime. Okay, it's a little unbalanced. He's kind of going for the version of really fully exploring the studio space like a drunken cowbell player, but nonetheless, high artistic merit on this celebration. And it was so good that as Donte DiVincenzo approaches the bench, Draymond decides to give him an encore presentation so that Donte could appreciate it up close. Good job, Draymond.